All right, welcome to Talking Investing, Friday live stream. We do not have George today. He got stuck at a job site. So he thought he was gonna be able to be here. So we got to go without him today. So welcome everybody. This was a Green Friday. That's the new thing. We had Red Fridays for like 6 months. And now this is our third Green Friday in a row. So there's a bunch of stuff went on today. So I definitely want to go through some of the stuff that happened in the crypto world. Two things are going down like kind of right now as we speak. And then we got to talk about Bitcoin, of course, which is under 20,000. And then go through the board. And Bitfarms put out their info today. So all kinds of stuff happened today. And now we got a long weekend coming in the U.S. No trading Monday, I believe. So, welcome everybody. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel if you would. It makes such a big difference, and we are very close to 10,000 subscribers. Hey Martin, so I'm putting my pitch in on every video lately. Just a couple more. Hey East Coast. This is Tom, and this is not financial advice. Yes, that is exactly correct, East Coast. Welcome. Yeah, wild day today. Hello, Let's Gamble. So, anyway, George won't be here, but he's here in spirit. So, I'll try to represent his point of view since I know how he thinks. Okay, so we're at 19th. We're under 20,000. What did you guys do today? Drop me a comment. Are you buying? Are you selling? Are you panicking? I know a lot of people are starting to panic, and I know they're panicking a little bit about Bitfarms. So I'm going to talk about that. I just posted a Bitfarms video. Unfortunately, it took so long to process that it just posted like an hour ago. But maybe after the live stream. Don't leave the live stream to go watch the video. You can do that after. So, also, everybody, if you're not in the Discord, I know a lot of you guys are already in the Discord, but if you're not, it's free. So, come on and join us in the Discord. We have a lot of really useful information in there. The Discord's been on fire the last couple of weeks. And there's been a bunch of information, inside type information. So, it's been not the legal insider information, just good inside information. East Coast says, and Voyager just disabled withdrawals, so it's getting worse, boys. That is one of the things I want to talk about. Unfortunately, and I'm gonna pull up their they put out a note today, a press release. I'm stacking cash and waiting. Dollar cost averaging on CleanSpark. That's what I've been doing. I'm still, you guys probably know, I'm still dollar cost averaging in on a few of my high conviction, waiting for Bitcoin to ush. No panic until Bitcoin. Martin is saying Bitcoin 13,000, and Ian's saying not ush, flush. Waiting for Bitcoin to flush. So I think everybody's kind of feeling a little bit the same way. It seems like we're all waiting for the other shoe to drop and for Bitcoin to go to where we think it's going to go. And I'll tell you where I think it's going to go. So I have this line here at 15,700. And I know that the vast majority of people right now think it's going to go lower than that. So it very well could. And I will tell you, my last three line in the sands have been crossed. So there's certainly could possibly happen to this one as well. But 15,700 to me looks like a point that we're headed for. You know, we had this weird fake out. I don't know what this was all about. I'm just wondering, does anybody know, was this, because Bitcoin just jumped like $1,500 last night. And I'm wondering if that was like simultaneous with the weekly candle or the daily candle closing, because it didn't make any sense. out of nowhere. I mean, look at this green candle, and then this ended up being red, but I mean, it jumped all the way up to almost $21,000 in a half an hour out of nowhere. And actually, oh, that's what it was, not the daily or weekly. Yesterday was the monthly candle close. And, you know, an hour before the monthly candle close, I know we were on track for the worst month that Bitcoin has ever had since its inception. And I'm just wondering if that little $1,500 run at the last second saved that and made that not be the worst month we've ever had in the history of Bitcoin. But it was bogus because it came, you know, straight back down. Weston saying, hey, Weston, how are you? Hey, Luca. Weston saying, Bitcoin needs to get lower. And yeah, I mean, I feel like everybody is expecting Bitcoin to get lower. So the question is, how low are we going to go? Also waiting for real panic in the market. Not there yet, said Luca, which I tell you, this is a weird thing. We are way down in the market, and the VIX really has not spiraled out of control. This has just been like, just every day, just like, you know, boom. And no, usually there's more of a mass panic. And I think, you know, I'm kind of waiting for the same thing. Where's that day where everybody, you know, the capitulation, so to speak, where, you know, we get that mass panic. But we are down a lot, and we have not had that day. So I don't know. Is that day coming, or is this just a different kind of downturn? Which do you, Alice asks, what do you bet more, NNDM or CleanSpark long term? So for me, I have two different answers to that question. I think NNDM is by far the safer investment, but I think CleanSpark has a much bigger, much more upside on the long term. NNDM to me is like putting your money in the bank. I mean, there's very, in my opinion, this is not financial advice, there's very little downside. They've got, you know, $600 million more net cash than they do market cap. So, you know, that if that stock goes down 3% or 5%, you know, it's not crashing. And CleanSpark, obviously, in the space it's in, has the risk reward equation. But long term, yeah. I mean, I like NNDM long term. I think they're gonna. I think that's a multi-bagger, but I think CleanSpark will do even better than that. So that wasn't the jump for the monthly candle I'm reading. Weston, to about 21K, watched it from another YouTuber. Oh, were you watching live? Think Bitcoin's going to go... Okay, so Ian says, I think Bitcoin is going low point in past crypto winters, which is roughly 85% down from this peak. So that is actually my 15... Oh, nah, sorry, that's my other line, so... Gotta shrink the screen. So 10,350. If we're going to get the full pain and suffering, the full 85%, that would be down to 10,350. So that is what this green box is right here. This is where I think we're going, 15,700. And really what that is it's a 30% pullback from the 200-week moving average, because the only two times Bitcoin's ever gone below the 200-week moving average, it very quickly went down 30%, stopped, turned around, and went back up. So, you know, that's the line I'm looking at. But yeah, I did put this line on here. If we go full-blown 85% down crypto winter, we're talking 10,350. So, you know, we're going to get almost cut in half again if that happens. I really don't think that is going to happen. Hello, the Creator Show. Hey, Eric. Any thoughts on Ideanomics? They are really diversified. I haven't looked at them in a little bit, but I will re-look at them. I know they're the epitome of diversified. They're like a mini conglomerate. But I'll check them out, but I can't say right now because I just haven't looked in a little while. I believe a day is coming later this year. The quarterly results will get very interesting, and I'm waiting for the analysts reducing their targets, which has started to happen. So that is a big conversation. Their analysts are starting to lower their targets on everything. And I'm just going to pick a stock that really I've never even talked about, but that I was going to do a video on. Is just so outside of what we usually talk about. But JP Morgan, I think, put a $7 price target on Carnival Cruise. And, you know, they were at $9. So, you know, that was, they were saying, they gave it a sell, $7, and, you know, it had a massive push to the downside. And I just think those are the kind of things that have to happen. That's to me, when JP Morgan says sell, that, you know, at their desks, they're buying, in my opinion. Of course, I don't know that, but that's usually what it takes. We need a series of these, and we've been getting them. We've been getting downgrade after downgrade, and who was it? One of the chip makers today gave a very gloomy outlook for next quarter, and all the, you know, all the chip stocks, Nvidia, AMD, Intel, they all got beat up today on that. So I think one by one, as earnings start to come out, you know, this is very early in the earnings season, but I think that, you know, I think we're going to get a lot of people just, I mean, if I was management, I would just err on the side of caution and say I'm worried about next quarter. I mean, there's no downside to that. That's what everybody is expecting you to say anyway. So I think we are going to get a lot of that. Lucas says I'm looking for 3,100 on the S&P. Weston said yes, he was watching that live. Nocturnal. I'm actually nocturnal. I just don't get it. I don't live stream late at night, but I'm a night person. I can't help it. What do you think about Wish? You know what? I started to look into Wish. I had their financial statements up and everything. Somebody, you may have asked me this last week, so I just noticed I had all their financials pulled up, but I never finished digging into that. But I something had caught my attention on that one, so I will circle back and finish because there was something interesting going on there. Oh, they're going to join the Russell. So that's the funny thing. You know, a couple of things just joined the Russell. Core Scientific just joined the Russell. And they've been getting absolutely destroyed, which is usually the opposite of what happens. But I think that's a Core Scientific specific thing. Plus which, other than today, everything's getting destroyed every day. I'm dumping my poker winnings into crypto. All right. I stopped playing poker for a long time. I would like to get back. I'm too busy. I'm obsessed with the stock market. I bought more Nvidia today, said Martin. Yeah, I mean, Nvidia, every one of the big 5 chip makers hit their 52-week low today. So, you know, I don't know that means that's the bottom or not, but, you know, certainly represents a buying opportunity. Let me just look at that real quick. Yeah, Nvidia got down to $143.92. That is its 52-week low, and they all did. Micron did, Intel did, AMC, or not AMC, AMD did. So what's the Taiwan Semiconductor? Every single one of them hit their 52-week low today. So I thought about buying in, and I won't even tell you which one I thought about buying because it's the one everybody hates the most. All right, so it's Intel. So Intel. So I'm going to show you why. Now that I said it, Nvidia is at, and I know these are all very different companies in certain ways, but Nvidia is still at a PE of 38 or 39. Intel. Isn't it? Oops, spelling. So Intel's at a PE of 6, which is ridiculous. And everybody, this is another one. Everybody's knocking their price estimate down, saying sell, sell, sell. So I just feel like, and they're at their 52-week low. Everybody's piling on. That just feels like the moment to me where it might be a good time to jump in. So I haven't done it yet, but I'm looking to. If you look at FinViz, you can perfectly see what one analyst downgrade did. Now just imagine what will happen for the other industries. Yeah, exactly. Crazy market for the semiconductors. Hey, Eric. Yeah, today was all, Luke was saying, today was all green and the semiconductors were bloody. That's what, and that was just, who was it? Micron came out and said bad things about next quarter. I don't even think their earnings were bad this quarter. I think they just said there's a serious decrease in demand, and they think the supply chain problem has been resolved, and at the same time there's a decrease in demand. And remember, there's a reason I bring this one up, that out of all the things that were a supply chain problem, computer chips, I think you could argue, was the biggest problem out of all of them. Almost every industry was getting affected by that. Not just, very high profile, the EV, electric vehicle sectors, but you can't make regular cars without chips. And, obviously the computers run through everything today. So that had massive ripple effects. And, I remember with NVIDIA, you couldn't get a graphics card. I mean, that was like black market stuff. You could not get a graphics card, the latest and greatest. But now it's the opposite all of a sudden. Weston said, people say they turn away to this market. This is the most enjoyable market to be a part of, in my opinion. I mean, if you got some powder on the sidelines and you got some patience, this really is when you make your money. But, I mean, I get it. It's also when you're losing money in the moment, and, that's rough. That's rough. And a lot of people are watching their retirement accounts go down. But, and then, of course, there's this time's different. It's not coming back again. And for me, I do not believe that. Every time's different, right? Every time we have a crisis, it's something different, because whatever the last crisis was, we adapted to that one, and that one's not going to happen again. So yes, this one is different, but the results won't be different. We're going to have a dip. We're already having a recession, in my opinion, and then eventually things will come back, in my opinion. Matic and Solana for me. I'm getting a second shot at Matic. It had run wild, but it has pulled back. Michael Anthony says, you can make good money if we work together each day with the pinch chart that I use. You had mentioned that to me before, I believe, and I did not go look that up. So I will. I'm just going to put it in so I remember later. So I don't want to make everybody watch me do that, but I will go look at that later for sure. I blew it last time. It's been, obviously you guys know, it's been crazy. Which one would you prefer? Alias, which one would you prefer, CleanSpark or directly Bitcoins? I like the Bitcoin miners better than Bitcoin, and there's nothing wrong with holding Bitcoin. I think that's also an excellent investment. I mean, that's a buy and hold situation. I would not be a trader of Bitcoin. I just think that we're getting the worst of it right now with the Bitcoin miners, and the reason for that is they are a leveraged play on Bitcoin. So in the good times, they are going to outperform Bitcoin by a lot. However, unfortunately, we are in the middle of the bad times, and they're underperforming Bitcoin by a lot. So they've all been, unless you think they're going out of business, every single one of these Bitcoin miners is down over 90% in the last 7 months. So at some point, like I said, unless you think they're going out of business, you got to start thinking this is a buying opportunity. And that doesn't mean it's the bottom, right? Because who knows when the bottom is, but down 90% sounds like a good place to start averaging in if you think it's a good company that has a good future. So yeah, my answer is Cleanspark. I'm miserably down, but I remain strong. Learning is more important to me, said Weston. Yeah, I mean, I think we're all down. I have not talked to a person. I'm sure there's some day traders out there that are scalping and making a couple of bucks this way or that way. But, I mean, this market, there's no place to hide. There's just no place to hide, especially if you're a long-term investor, and if you're not day trading, you got no shot. You're down big. Weston's saying big leverage play. The Bitcoin miners you're talking about, or are you leveraging up? That is one thing I will not. I feel like I'm leveraging by choosing Bitcoin miners instead of Bitcoin, but I don't want to leverage my account on top of that because I feel like I'm already making a leveraged play. I don't like to go into margin. I mean, I'm not saying I've never done it. I just prefer not to. Because there's so many ways you can accomplish the same thing without going into margin. There's so many ETFs that are double this or triple that, up or down, that if you have a strong feeling, you can play those if you're day trading or swing trading. Eric's in the Bitcoin miners plus YFISOL. Tom, do you think that a Bitcoin ETF in the U.S. is good for the miners? Maybe bigger institutions do. So that's Luca's asking, yes. And so that's another thing that we can talk about. Grayscale got denied early. So they got denied. They have made no bones. I did do a video on this. I believe there is an extremely high probability that their trust will be converted to an ETF. I also think we're going to get a bunch of other ETFs. However, given the nightmare that's going on in the cryptocurrency world right now, it was very easy for the SEC to deny for now. I mean, they've got a lot of cover. We've got disasters happening like on a daily basis. So this was a pretty easy time for them to say no. But I think that is coming. I think it's coming sooner than later. And I know that Grayscale has hired some heavy hitting attorneys to make this happen. That's not even necessarily the one that I want to see go because they already have some astronomical number of Bitcoin, I think 650,000 Bitcoin they're already holding on to. I'd rather see a brand new ETF comes in that's got to go buy 100,000 Bitcoin. But either way, it's a positive. Yeah, that in my opinion, that will be I don't know what the knee-jerk reaction will be because, there's games that are played, but in the medium term to long term, that I think that's one of the biggest things that can happen because there's the vast majority of all money is not in crypto right now because they can't get to it through their broker. So, I know everybody probably on this live stream knows how to use all the cryptocurrency exchanges and cold wallets and all that stuff. But, if you have a retirement account, you've got to jump through some pretty complicated hoops. I would say 99% of retirement accounts have zero invested in Bitcoin. Institutional money, corporations, you can read the list. It's just a handful of companies. It's more than it used to be. There's some big companies that have adopted, but still 99% of that money's on the sideline. Once you get an ETF, that means that you can buy, if you're grandma and grandpa or whatever the case may be, you can put your money into Bitcoin just by making a trade, just by calling your broker. There are probably very few of any of us left that actually call our broker. We just go on our phone and make a trade, but Ian said, I feel stupid for not layering puts on the way down. I sold out the miners long ago. Well, I mean, at least you sold out of them. Weston's never too late. So, I don't know. I mean, is there a whole nother leg down from here? Maybe there is. You cannot call a bottom. I mean, we're down 90-something%, but that doesn't mean we can't go down 50% from here. Weston's saying a Bitcoin ETF will make everybody rich. I agree with that. I think that, and I don't know, maybe that doesn't happen in 4 days, but that will be such a fundamental change in what's going on that I do think that will be the point at which there's just no turning back. And so and I think it's coming, and you can see they're fighting it. But even Gary Gensler has been making a point to say Bitcoin, and he won't talk about the other coins, but Bitcoin's a commodity. He's forfeited that argument. That's a given at this point. So, I think they're going to be, and they have ETFs on Bitcoin derivatives, right? You can trade futures long an ETF and short in an ETF. So it's very difficult to explain why you couldn't have a spot ETF when you have a futures that's a short ETF. I mean, that's got to be more dangerous than just a spot ETF on the asset itself. I mean, there's no line of reasoning there at all, other than the crypto world's a mess right now, so they can just kind of hide behind that for the moment, in my opinion. Sorry, BTC, I just read that one. 5K on SOXL today. Leverage, said Eric. I'm scared for you. I wish me luck. I wish you luck. Yes. Let's look. Oh, baby. So you feel like that was a bottom or an overreaction? So this is just what I was talking about. You don't have to go into margin. Here's a semiconductor 3X. So, and this is bullish. There's probably one that's bearish as well. There's so many of these ETFs that are 3X long and then a corresponding one that's 3X short. That, to me, that's enough leverage. There's a 2X, I think it's 2X, on Kathy Wood's ARK fund. And I know, maybe a lot of you guys don't like her, and I don't agree with everything that she says either, but I do think her stuff is in a very beaten down spot. And when we get out of this, and I don't know when that is, I think that thing's going to be on fire. So I'm thinking about 2Xing that with just, not going all in, but just a little bit. Eric's saying he thinks it was the overreaction in the semiconductors today. I mean, yeah, it was because they were all basically near their 52-week low already. They're all down massively. So, for them to tank on this news, it's not like this is new news. And a lot of stocks are that way right now. And I don't know, they might still go down more. Everything's down a lot more than people realize. The indexes are a little bit misleading because, the S&P's down like 20% and the Nasdaq's down like 30%. But if you just go on the number of stocks, more stocks are down 50, 60, 70, 80, 90%. Those buckets are way more filled with stocks than down 10%, 20%, 30%. It's just that the larger ones are not down that much, and there's a few sectors, really just energy and big pharma that are still either break even, or energy was, a couple weeks ago, they were hitting all-time highs. So that skews things the other way. But if you counted stocks and put them into buckets, the 50% down or more bucket would represent, I think, significantly more than half of the stocks in the stock market right now. It's easy to do. I can look, at the Russell 2000 or the Russell 3000. Just count them. Which ones are down more than 50%? I mean, it's endless. And I've tried to do that a couple of times, and I just run out of patience. But and I'll tell you, that's riddled with small cap pharmaceuticals, and other than the ones that have gotten through testing and been approved, which is very few, there's just every single one of those is down 80%, 90%. And there's a lot of industries. I mean, you can go industry by industry. I just did a video yesterday on small cap EV stocks. They're down, that whole industry's down 90%. 90%. I mean, that's like Bitcoin miners. Martin saying, I bought 500 shares of Bitfarm today. Nice. You're not alone. I got some Bitfarm today, and I saw some other people comment that they bought some Bitfarm today. People reacted negatively to what they had to say in their operational report. Bitcoin or Bitfarms underperformed today versus the other miners. So I bought a little bit in. So this was, the board was almost completely green, and Bitfarms was down 1.79%, and it was down a bunch more than that most of the day. It finished, that might have been its high on the day is where it finished. It was down a bunch more than that earlier. So, yep, I bought a little. I bought a little bit of Bitfarms this week. I bought a little bit of HUT this week. I bought a little bit of Riot this week. So I'm trying to be very slow because, I'm like where we started this conversation. We're under 20,000. I think almost everybody thinks we're going lower. We're not at the bottom yet. So and I'll tell you, one of the biggest comments that I've been seeing in the Discord, and if you are not in the Discord, please come join us in the Discord. Some of the biggest comments I've been seeing in the comment section on my on the channel and as well as in the Discord is that people are almost rooting right now for maybe a little bit of downward sideways action so that they get 2-3 months to start averaging in. So, that might be a sign of a bottom in and of itself. I kind of feel the same way a little bit. But it's a careful what you wish for situation. I would rather we stayed above 20,000 and just headed back up. But if we're going to go down, you might as well take advantage of it while it's happening. I bought Stronghold today and Riot. And so Eric bought Stronghold, Riot, and CleanSpark. I've been buying more Riot than anything else lately. I've been trying to fill out my position. I was out of Riot and Marathon completely, 3 months ago. And to me, Riot is just outperforming. I think they have a strong balance sheet. They have literally almost no debt. It's their financial positioning right now is incredible. And they're operationally, they seem to be rolling. So I don't know. I like Riot. And I think Marathon's potentially, I don't own any, but I think it's a better deal than people think because operationally they are not doing well. And you'll see, I just made a video and I kind of railed on them for the whole video, but they have not performed very well operationally. And that's the understatement of all time. Their performance has been horrendous. Some of the people pushed back and said they think that's on purpose because there's no point in mining any Bitcoin right now. For all I know, that's true, but I know they are so far off their plan. I've never seen a company so far off of a plan than Marathon is off of their plan. And they've been talking about this plan for the last, year and a half. And they're just wildly, yet they say by the end of the year we'll be on our plan. And if that's true, they got 70 or 80,000 machines that they own that are 20,000 are staged ready to be plugged in. And then, another 50 or 60,000 are in boxes. I mean, if they can get all those plugged in, that's a game changer for them if Bitcoin gets healthy. I mean, Bitcoin doesn't have to go to 100,000. If Bitcoin could just get back to something reasonable, 30,000, 35,000, that would be a game changer. Marathon could stand to, and they have debt, but theirs is convertible debt, and it's 1% interest. So they're paying no principal. They're paying 1% interest on their debt, and it's convertible at a share price of $76 a share. So they're trading right now at $5. So I don't think anybody's too worried about their convertible debt. Everybody hopes those people convert 4 years from now, because that means that Marathon will be substantially above $76. So They've set themselves up for success. They just operationally haven't done it yet. So we'll see. And maybe they never will. I don't know. But oh, as far as Stronghold goes, that's another one with the risk reward is amazing on that one, because the market cap on Stronghold has gotten insane. Yeah, $32 million is the market cap on Stronghold. So let's put it this way. I mean, even if you consider this, you know, A or B, they're either going out of business or they're not going out of business. If they're not going out of business, a $32 million market cap for this company is total insanity. I am not in this one yet, and it's just, I just feel like there's stronger plays, but this one has upside beyond belief. However, I do think it is a risk. They have some problems. They might be solving their problems. I don't know, but they have real problems. They lost I'm saying they lost. I think they're never going to get back something along the lines of a $60 million deposit. Seems to be gone. But, you know, if they can work their way through that and get to the other side. Eric saying I got back into Mawson at $1.10, market cap of $35 million. Same thing. I mean, I'm surprised that doesn't connect right here. I mean, Mawson's at $1.15. This is saying market cap $83 million. I don't know. Yahoo isn't always necessarily accurate with their market caps, but I do know the Stronghold market cap really is down in the 30s. So this is another one. These guys have been mining from operationally. They give their monthly operational updates, and they have been mining Bitcoin. I mean, this is another one. There's so many of them, and the thing is, everybody keeps saying, well, half of them are going to go out of business. So I don't know. Maybe half of them are going to go out of business. Which half? So that's, you know, some of these companies are better positioned than we think, than it would appear. So, yeah, I don't think everybody's getting to the finish line. What I think is going to happen more than that, more than companies going out of business, I think you're going to see things like what Iris Energy did, which is they just came clean and said, look, we're not getting to 25 exahash, we're getting to 4. And that's fine. You know, they were at 0. So, you know, if they get to 4, that's a giant leap. So I think what's going to happen is all the new guys, so, you know, Cypher, Iris, all the Wolf, these guys came out of the box. Hey, we're going to be at 15 exahash. We're going to be at 20 exahash. We're going to be at 25 exahash. And it's like, well, you're at 0 right now. Let's hear about your plans to get to 1 exahash. And then tell me about your plans to get to 2. Don't tell me you ordered 200,000 machines for $1 billion, because you don't have $1 billion. And as we can see, the market's dried up. None of these people are going to go, no one's going to go raise money at these prices. Everybody's stock is $1 or $2 or $3. This is the absolute worst time to raise money. Miners getting beaten down. Hello, I'm going to pronounce this wrong. M-I-N-H, Min. How are you? Welcome back. Welcome, Johnny. Let's see. It's hilarious when you watch people underwater in crypto talking about price targets, like if they just wish for it. Yeah, I mean, I stopped giving price targets and price estimates. We're in a bear market. This is just not the time to give price targets. This is the time to try to pick the winners, pick the good companies that you know are strong, that can make it through whatever this is. And we don't know what this is. We could turn around tomorrow, or we could be in for 6 months of lull and downward pressure. Who knows? But the companies that are best suited, I'm looking at, and I'm trying to share this analysis, and I know some people are frustrated. There's so many variables that trying to make one spreadsheet that just shows everything, it's, you know, I got a spreadsheet and it's, you know, like 180 columns long. I'm not doing a video with that spreadsheet. Nobody's going to watch that video. That would be boring beyond comprehension. But there's just a lot of variables. But in general, I'm looking for companies. Right now, it's all about liquidity. They got to have enough cash. Forget even, well, what's their gross profit? It doesn't matter. Assume it's zero, because Bitcoin, we don't know where it's going. What you need to know is what's their overhead and how much liquidity do they have? Do they have enough liquidity to go through a 2-year crypto winter? If the answer to that is yes, then in my opinion, you've got yourself a good investment potentially. Obviously, that's not the singular factor, but that's the first thing I'm looking at. Who can do this for 6 months or a year and a half without running out of money or having to raise money at $1 a share, that which will be very frowned upon. And I can tell you a few right now that I feel comfortable just saying, and this is not financial advice. Don't forget to wait for it. Don't forget to subscribe, everybody. I'm shooting for 10,000 subscribers. I'm beating the drum on this one, but I'm almost there. So if you know anybody, tell them about the channel. And if you're not subscribed, please subscribe. It really does make a big difference for me. Smash the like button. I interrupted myself, and I don't know what I was talking about. So Mara, I think, is a big risk. I mean, Mara, the risk in Mara is, this is every single month in a row of them not performing. That is disturbing. There's no doubt about it. But if you look at their balance sheet, here's the thing with Marathon. Their convertible debt comes due in 2026. They're not going out of business, in my opinion. Obviously anything could happen, but just looking at their balance sheet, I just don't understand how they could go out of business between now and then. They have so much cash and cryptocurrency and liquidity, but the goal is not just to not go out of business. Their performance is horrendous. And if they can't get their act together before they got $750 million of convertible debt. So if they don't get their act together before that's due, and that's 2026, that's when they're going to go out of business, in my opinion, if they're not doing what they need to do by then. Even as they struggle and you want to bang your head against the wall, and that's why I'm just staying out of Marathon, because it's just too frustrating to watch. But it could be, somebody left a comment, hey, I got 50,000 shares of Marathon. What's going to happen when that's back at $80? And the answer is, that guy's going to win. That's what's going to happen if that happens. And I think there's a reasonable chance that could happen. But I can't. There's so many other miners that will let me sleep better at night that, I've been trying to look for the ones who are both ready to survive a crypto winter and are executing on their business model. Moonboots is saying the whole time I thought it was called a crypto winner. So I lost a lot of money. Yeah, you're not alone. Methinks BTC will rebound soon, but I'm not talking 68K, more like 25K. That's from Eric, and that's how I feel about it. I think we may go bounce off of a bottom, so I don't know if it's a week, a month, whatever the case may be, but I do think we're going to creep back up. Testing, the 200-week moving average is still at 22,500. I don't think we've ever spent 1 month. We've only ever been under that 2 other times ever in the history of Bitcoin. And it was for a very short period of time. So every pattern breaks. So maybe that's the end of that pattern. We've seen other firsts happen. But I just feel like I would think we would at least make a run for the 200-week moving average one time. Even if we get there and get rejected and failed, it just seems like we should at least test that before it's all over. Eric said, thanks for the hard work. No, thank you guys for tuning in and commenting and all that stuff. It helps the channel a lot, so it helps me keep doing this. Even just every comment you leave helps the algorithm. I know it sounds stupid, but every time, and that's why I say smash the like button. So if everybody can hit the like button, all those things help the channel. We're getting towards 10,000, and I enjoy doing this, and I appreciate all you guys that are interacting and are over on the Discord. The Discord has picked up massively. Like, we've got so much conversation going on over there. It's hard for me to keep up with, but it's good stuff. So, you know, if you're not there, come join us there too. So thank all of you guys, and thanks, Eric. Scott saying I'm a fan of CleanSpark and Hut 8. Great management. I like both of those companies. I mean, Hut 8. So that's what I was going to do. I was going to name 2 or 3 companies that could survive a crypto winter. And to me, Hut 8 is at or near the top of that list. So I think they played this the right way. It looks to me like they saw this coming, and they got criticized a lot for not meeting some of their targets, but I think that was totally intentional. And, you know, Jamie has said many times she thinks we're still not at the bottom as far as what they want to do is they want to buy Bitcoin mining machines for the cheapest possible price that they can, so that they can, you know, if they can have a 4-month return on investment window because they got it at the right price versus a 15-month return on investment window, that makes all the difference in the world. And especially as Bitcoin is at this low price, there's no point in owning all this equipment. So I think they've played this right. Their balance sheet is strong. They have the money to go get equipment, and I like their management. I trust them. Obviously, we get to talk to Sue on the channel, and she's great. They're all so knowledgeable over there, and I feel like they got a good game plan, and they have other cash flow coming in with their other business as well. So, you know, that helps you get through a crypto winter. Anything that's cash flowing is a big deal. So not only did they have a super strong balance sheet, but they're cash flowing. So, you know, I like Hut. CleanSpark, I love their management. Their balance sheet is not quite as strong as my other high conviction plays, but I like all the moves they've made. They have big plans. I don't think they put the cart before the horse. They've been buying the equipment that they can afford to buy. They've been using their Bitcoin to do so, which now is sitting here at Bitcoin 20,000, you know, not everybody. There was a group of people that were critical of them for spending their Bitcoin along the way. But that turned out to be a good move on their part. So we'll see how it all plays out. Did any of the miners get caught chasing yield with the HODL and the likes of Celsius? Hard to tell. And you know what? I don't know what the answer to that is, but I do know, speaking of Hut 8, they took all they had 2,000 Bitcoin that they were getting paid interest on, and they grabbed it back into their own custody. So they have no Bitcoin out there in the world. They're still hodling 100%. So they have, I think, 7,000 Bitcoin, and they're in possession of all of it. None of it's out on the street. So I don't know if anybody got caught. I mean, and I don't know where the end of this is. We've got Celsius. I was going to read. So Voyager, in case anybody doesn't know, this is today. This was this afternoon. Voyager announces it is temporarily suspending trading, deposits, withdrawals, and loyalty rewards. So you can forget all that. There's one word, withdrawals. You cannot withdraw your money right now from Voyager. Effective at 2 p.m. today. This was a tremendously difficult decision, yada, yada, yada. So, you know, that's a big deal. And that doesn't mean you're never getting your money back. I don't know the answer to that. But what it does mean is you're not getting it back today. You're not getting it back tomorrow. And I don't know when or if you're going to get your money back. You know, they're hoping to salvage some of this money from 3 Arrow Capital, but I do not have high hopes for getting that money back. And if you look at this, $650 million for them. It was the biggest position they had out there. It was the biggest loan that they had given, and they're a $60 million market cap company. That's $650 million. They have very little liquidity. They're in no position to make up. If they can't get that money back, then, you know, it's going to be up to some, you know, it looks like, what's his name has jumped into that situation and started to backstop it, but in a way, so that let me sidetrack myself again. Where was that? It looks like FTX is making, I can't find it. FTX is, I just saw a thing that said they're making, you know, there was a bogus article out that they were going to get to buy BlockFi for $25 million. So everybody has denied that. That's not happening. But now, just literally right before the live stream, I read something that said they are buying it for $680 million. So I think they're backstopping the BlockFi situation. I think ultimately they just put $70 million into Voyager. So I just feel like they're going to keep people's money safe. That's not a guarantee, but you know, it benefits them. They're a big, they're probably the second biggest player in the crypto world. So they do not want to see this ecosystem falling apart. So I think they're going to chip in where they can and where it makes sense. And so I think people will get their money back from Voyager, but I don't know that. And, you know, it's very disturbing. You got money sitting in an exchange and you can't get it back. That's not good. That is not good at all. Hey, Seth, welcome. I think these are also, so Seth is saying, I think these are also overshorted, that when the shorts get liquidated, they will be paying for my early retirement. And that's the key. I totally agree. It's just a matter of how long are we going to have to wait? And a lot of people are not going to wait. A lot of people have already sold. And I think more people will bail out before they're done. And, you know, everybody's got to do what they're comfortable with doing. But I'm with you, Seth. I think that we just sit here and wait it out. And, you know, in the end, it seems crazy. I talk about, you know, 5X and 10X. And the truth is, and everybody says, oh, you know, that doesn't happen. That's a get-rich-quick scheme. Well, it's not a get-rich-quick scheme because we've been waiting the last year. We've been moving in the wrong direction. So I don't know how many years it's going to take. But if Bitcoin succeeds, these companies are, if they don't go out of business first, it's almost a likely case scenario, in my opinion, that they 10X or 20X. Some of these might 50X. And we've seen major companies 50X. So these are tiny. Stronghold's $34 million. They could 100X and they would be a $3.4 billion company. I'm not saying that's going to happen. I mean, they might go out of business for all I know, but that's how 100X happens. $3 billion company is still a small cap company, and they could 100X to get there. So, you know, there's opportunities out there. Tree is asking, do you have any concerns about miners diluting at these prices? And he's saying, I'm concerned, he or she, I don't know who Tree is. I'm concerned that Riot may elect to dilute at these prices. And so you mentioned the one that I think might do some amount of dilution if they have to. They are very, very strong on their balance sheet. So I think they could live without it. But I will tell you, they did, I think, $160 million of dilution at $14. And everybody was pissed that they would sell stock at $14, but now it's at $4. So to me, I'm glad they did that. And I don't know if 6 months from now we're going to look back and go, I wish they would have raised $100 million at $4. I hope not, you know, because that means they're trading at $2. But and I don't think that's where this is going. And I hope none of these people go raise money. Or if they do, I hope that whatever they do, they've got to, you know, it beats the alternative of going out of business. So if some of these people need to raise money at $1, that is not, obviously that was not plan A or B or C, but, you know, if that's what they got to do, then hopefully they keep it to a minimum and let us know what it is. And there's an awful lot of at-the-market shelf offerings still open right now. So we don't, you know, we don't find out until later that happened, but who did I just... Yeah, it was Riot. I think they picked up... I'm just remembering, so this might not be the right number, but I think it was like $100 or $160 million. And that's on a... I think that's at least a $500 million shelf offering. So they've got a lot more that they could go get. So I hope they don't go get it at $4. I hope they don't, but... if that's what they need to do to get to 13 exahash and to stay on plan and keep their business going, and that's what they decide, you know, it's not going to be the end. They won't, if they go out and raise $100 million, that is not going to dilute them. You know, that's not the end of the world. Now, everybody's market cap is down drastically. You know, I think they might be under. Actually, for a second, Riot popped up, and they were the highest market cap out of all of them yesterday for a few minutes. But it's still only, I mean, $573 million. So you hate to go raise $100 million at a $573 million market cap. That's a not a good case scenario. So let's hope that does not happen. Tree is saying Riot could sell some HODL or take on a little debt versus dilution. Right. See, this is the time to take debt on. Now, it's a lot harder to get right now because, you know, people are terrified of the Bitcoin miners, but they have so many assets. I mean, they have over $1 billion on their balance sheet. You know, I got to believe they could go raise, you know, even if it's 20 or 30 cents on the dollar and secure their machines against it if they needed to. You're right. I would rather see them get into something, some reasonable form of debt than go dilute themselves at this point. Because hopefully the theory would be, you know, you wait it out 6 months or 12 months or 18 months, Bitcoin goes up, then you sell your Bitcoin and you pay your debt off. So we'll see. I'm sure, I mean, you know, they're having these conversations till all hours of the night. I don't think anybody's just going to go run out and do that unless it's what they have to do. And again, I would rather see, even with a company like Bitfarms, like the last thing I want to see is, no, the second last thing I want to see is for them to go sell their stock at $1. But it's second last because the last thing I want to see is for them to go out of business. Now, I don't think they're in any danger of that, and I just picked them as an example because they happen to be down near $1 right now, which is, I know that's a point everybody worries an awful lot about. I don't think they're going to do a reverse split. I don't think they're going to sell stock, but I guess we'll see how bad things get. BlockFi, Johnny's saying, I hope BlockFi goes down next. And I think that FTX, it just put in, I think they're buying BlockFi. And so that means, you know, that'll be taken private. Well, it's already private, but I think it looks like they're going to buy them. I'll DCA into the market. Eric saying, I'll DCA into the market after my losses. Yeah, I mean, I am still, and I will tell you, I have just way slowed down the rate. But I buy I'll buy 100 shares of something just so that I can feel like I participated. But, you know, I'm being very slow. And you'd be surprised. 100 shares here, 200 shares there, 300 shares there. Ends up being thousands and thousands of shares when this thing lasts 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 months a year. So it's some days I just feel like I gotta buy at this price, but I don't want to go all in. So I do make very little buys sometimes, but they're starting to add up. I mean, and I did buy some Bitfarms today. It just seemed like I just couldn't. It was too good of an opportunity. Is there any sector that is doing well in the market? Kirby 238, hey, welcome. The oil stocks were doing very well. I think they pulled back a little bit, but they're still, I mean, if you go, so ExxonMobil is at $87. They were at a high of $105, but they're still way up on the year. I mean, this little thing right here is their 1 year. I could pull it up on the big screen, but you can see the point. Like, they're still very near their all-time high. So, yeah, the oil and gas, but I'm not chasing those. I think, you know, they had their run. And I do think oil, call me crazy, I think oil's peaking as we speak, and I don't think it's going to spiral the next leg up. It's at $108 right now, and it's been bouncing around down to 100, up to 120. I feel like that problem is going to solve itself, or everyone will take steps to solve it And I just don't think we're in for $150 oil. And I think Exxon and Chevron and all those guys already had their run up. But that's one of the reasons we're down. You know, that's one of the reasons the market's down 20%. When you got big companies like ExxonMobil's a $368 billion company, and they're at or near their all-time high. So that counterbalances. So that 20% down is worse than it seems when you've got companies like this. And the other thing is the big pharmaceuticals are all still at least break even, I believe, if not up. I'm going to go, this one's connecting me to Johnson & Johnson. So, yeah, I mean, they're still, I mean, they've had a small trading range this year, and they're very close to their 52-week high. So you've got big pharma companies, and these are, the thing is, this is a $472 billion company. ExxonMobil was a $360-something billion company. These are gigantic companies that are up on the year. So that's, but that's it. I mean, if you look at the heat map, I believe those are the only two spaces that have not gotten taken out in the year 2022. So there's not too many places to hide, and it's probably too late to go hide in those because they're the last ones standing, so they're probably next. Martin's saying I'll start buying Riot at $2. Well, I'll be buying it at $2 if it gets there, but I hope it doesn't. Why don't Bitfarm pay off their debt with their cash rather than their Bitcoin? I did a Bitfarms video today, and I feel like I explained what they're trying to do. They need to remain liquid to a certain extent. They did sell a lot. They sold 3,300 of their Bitcoin. I think they're going to get a $38 million loan in the next 30 days. So I don't know that. I have no inside information. It's just if you look at all the press releases they've put out, they've hinted towards something along those lines. That's what I would do. That's what makes sense in my opinion. And I think they've got the financing already lined up. That gets them out of this line of credit that is a nightmare. They're almost out of it. They got to get out of it. And if they do that and then they pick up another loan that is secured with their equipment, I like these equipment secured loans. That's more of a traditional loan. You know, not only was their line of credit secured by their Bitcoin, but they needed to secure it at 143%, not 100%. So, you know, that when Bitcoin crashes, it's it's not exponential, but it's a multiplier effect that was disastrous for them, and they had to get out of it. And at this point, I think they're basically out. And I think we'll see. I think that a month from now or 90 days from now, we'll be looking at Bitfarms that line of credit will be long gone in history. They will have refinanced with some more normal financing terms. They're still reasonably low on debt, right? They had no real other debt other than that $100 million, which will be paid down. And if they replace it with a different 70 or 80 million in debt that's more traditionally structured, they're a much better company at that point than they were with that loan. Tree saying, thanks for all the great information. You are welcome. Thank you. I would not buy big. Eric is saying, I would not buy big pharma on principle. Well, there's that too. Kirby saying, thanks, Tom. Kind of confirming my own thoughts. So good. Well, I'm glad that, obviously we all spend a lot of time thinking about this. So hopefully, hopefully this is what's going on. And hopefully the end is in sight, but I don't know. I mean, in the meantime, I'm dollar cost averaging in. Kirby238 said there is nowhere to hide. Maybe DCA slowly into the miners, and that's exactly what I'm doing. I am overly positioned in the miners right now, but that's my highest conviction play, and getting to buy something down 90 or 95%. It's a very rare opportunity. Eric's saying NNDM by CleanSpark, Curiosity, Arrow. Yeah. I got all those. And I still feel good about, it's funny that curiosity streams, the streaming industry, because of Netflix, and it makes no sense because Netflix has a completely different situation than, like, Curiosity is at the other end of this entire curve. They're a new company. They're a super high growth company. They're gaining market share. Netflix is at that point where they have to, at some point, these growth companies turn into valuation stocks because, you know, you can only grow when you've grown and everybody's a subscriber. It's hard to grow, right? You can try and create other different sources of revenue, you know, in different ways, but, you know, they've reached the pinnacle of the streaming world. Streaming's not going away. We know that. Streaming's getting bigger and bigger. I have 2 streaming plays. Curiosity's one of them. And I'm going to be doing another. Nobody watches them, but I'm doing it anyway. I will be doing another video on Paramount. They are absolutely killing it right now, in my opinion. And their stock has pulled way back. It's trading in an unbelievably predictable pattern. Again, that doesn't mean that will continue, but I really like what they're doing. And so those are my 2 streaming plays. And they've both been beaten up. I mean, Curiosity Streams has been totally decimated. So I think there's a lot of upside there. Nicholas, I really appreciate your time. Thank you. That's my pleasure. Johnny at Eric, hating pharma companies is so played out. Yeah, I mean, the 2 places to put your money are the 2 places that are kind of not well liked in this world, which are the big pharma and big oil. So, but those are the 2 places making money at the moment. So it is what it is. I'm not putting it in there because I think it's too late. We missed it. So, you know, I'd rather buy, and I know it takes a long time, and I have a longer term time frame. So, you know, I really do look at this as a buying opportunity. I don't like to say that because I also don't like to be, I mean, I'm down a bunch. Don't get me wrong. So I don't like being down, but by the same token, if you're invested in the right things, then ultimately, if you can keep dollar cost averaging in, find a way, whatever it is, you know, don't get, you know, cliche stuff. Don't get your Starbucks. That's a Starbucks right now is 4 shares of Bitfarms. You know, my triple venti mocha that I don't get anymore at Starbucks would be 4 shares of Bitfarms. So, you know, sometimes that's how you got to look at it. Hey, Tom, heard my first Curiosity Stream ad on the radio 2 days ago. Awakened Soul. Welcome, Awakened Soul. Thanks for joining us. Nice. I have not heard that yet. That's good. So I'm glad to see that. I mean, I feel like they got a strong business model and they're just getting going. And this is the worst time for any small cap, high growth, risk on company in the last, well, we just had the first 6 months of the year is over. It's the worst first 6 months of the year in 52 years. I mean, this isn't just a not so great year. This is the most risk-off environment in my trading lifetime. I was too little to invest 52 years ago, so I was not involved in that bad year. But that, I mean, this is historic levels of oversold or down. You know, maybe you don't consider it oversold, but I think there are a bunch that are way oversold. You know, when a company that's going to succeed is down 90% and they go down another 50%, if they're going to succeed, to me, those are my easy money plays. I just know that it might take 4 years or 2 years or whatever the case may be. But that time goes. I mean, you guys see how this works. Like, time flies. Shaman, sorry if I'm pronouncing that wrong. I used to own a lot of CleanSpark and got scared and sold at a massive loss and went into HUT instead. Was unsure about the high salaries of the top management and also their low quick ratio situation. Yeah, I mean, HUTs, those are 2 of my high conviction plays. So, you know, I I don't think, you know, you like to say don't sell low, but if you are selling and you're really just moving your position into basically the exact same sector into a company that's down pretty much the exact same amount, then that's a lateral move. While you have to recognize the loss technically from a tax standpoint, you've still got your money invested in the same thing. You just made a decision to put it in what you think is a safer place, and I think that's okay. Awkward Soul says, what do you think about the huge discount on cruise lines? I haven't done it. I got so many videos I want to do. I really feel like Carnival Cruise and pick your cruise liner. I think they're all oversold. That's what I think. So I think they are at a big discount. The JP Morgan comes in and downgrades Carnival Cruise. Well, they're a little late to the party. So those guys are near historic lows. I think they're as low as they were. Remember, they had to stop all operations for a considerable period of time. Their stock's now back down at or somewhere around that level. Well, things are obviously a lot better right now than they were then, and they have billions of dollars of cash. So I'm going to look at that as I say that, because that's how I remember it. But I believe that they have an awful lot of cash, and so I don't think they're not imminently going out of I believe the headline was there's a risk that they could go to zero, and it's like, well, there's always a risk everything could go to zero. That doesn't mean anything. Do the quick. I'm not going to check their actual financials, but yeah, I mean, this is according to Yahoo, and if I double check this, these are usually fairly accurate. This is either the December 31st or March 31st financial statements. They have almost $7 billion. Now, they have debt beyond belief, so they've got a lot of interest carry, but that's nothing new. That hasn't changed. And it doesn't look to me like they're going out of business, and they're certainly doing a lot more business today than they were a year ago or a year and a half ago. So I haven't bought in yet, but I'm very closely looking at Carnival or something like that. Martin said, last week I checked my portfolio every day, down 5 to 10%. I think when we bottom out, there are half the stock price from now. Bitcoin only going 2 to 3%. Miners are oversold. So, I mean, I think the miners are oversold. That doesn't mean they won't get more oversold, but I mean, by any measure that I look at, unless you think Bitcoin's going to fail. 52 down stocks, 50% partners age plus 100% my age. Eric. Johnny said, who are the people going on cruises? Well, completely unrelated. I'm just not a cruise person, so I am not the people going on cruises, but I know a lot of people that take cruises. I was already not a cruise person, and there was that one cruise that kind of got stuck out there for a while. If you guys remember, that was like the last straw. So I'm not a cruise person, but I might buy the stock. Awakened Soul said, my friends work for Disney Cruise Lines, and she said the lines are loaded with bookings. Cruise lines are not even close to dead. Yeah, I mean, I believe that. That makes sense to me. And their financial statements are showing that. So Eric said, my partner is a senior corporate banker with Wells Fargo in Manila. Wells is a terrible company, laying off Americans and hiring like crazy in PH. So Wells Fargo, well, I mean, the banks are all near, I think they're pretty close to their 52-week low. Yeah, they're at $38. Their 52 weeks low is 36. So, and they were as high as 60. The banks have not done well at all. Hey, Harris, sorry if I'm pronouncing that incorrectly. Did you give your thoughts on Riot? Just joined the stream. So we've talked on and off about Riot. I am dollar cost averaging into Riot. So obviously I got to say it's not financial advice and you guys got to do what you want to do. But yes, I like Riot. I think they're operationally, they seem to be doing very well, right? They produce a lot of Bitcoin. They could be more efficient. They're not the most efficient. If you look at exahash rate to Bitcoin's mined, they need to work on their efficiency a little bit. I'm not sure what the reason for that is. I don't know. You know, I'm comparing them to some of the Canadian miners, and I don't know if the weather just makes that much of a difference or if that's something they can work on. I know they've got immersion cooling coming, and I know that's that's an equalizer. It doesn't matter what the weather is if you're in immersion cooling. So I like Riot. I like what they're doing. I am adding to my Riot position. So that's my 2 cents for whatever it's worth, just my opinion. Eric's saying, I don't understand the cruise ship appeal. I mean, like I said, I'm not a cruise ship person, but if their stock gets to the right price, I'll buy the stock. So please, everybody, if you're not in the Discord, come join us in the Discord because we talk 24 hours a day in there. And we've got some really, really insightful people in our Discord. So if any of you are on the call right now, thank you very much for your contributions in the Discord. We have several great conversations going on at any given time. And also, if you have not subscribed, please subscribe to the channel. I'm almost at 10,000 subscribers, so I'm sick of begging. Help! Help! A cruise is just a hotel, but you're trapped on the ocean, says Johnny. I feel the exact same way. I don't know what the appeal for cruises is. They're very, very popular. Maybe it's the all-you-can-eat situation. I don't know. But they're not for me. But that's just my personal opinion. Peter, hello, how are you? More hot. Yep. Peter saying, as mentioned in messaging, wanting much more hot. And I'm dollar cost averaging. For me, the two companies, and there's more than two, so I hate to say two. There's several companies that are well positioned, or at least positioned to get through a crypto winter. But in my opinion, Hut and Riot are the two. As long as management makes the right decisions, they are very well equipped to make it through whatever it is that we are in the middle of right now. So, and particularly Hut, you know, they've taken different approaches. Riot has taken an approach where their balance sheet is ultra strong, but they've still been in high growth mode. Hut has taken the position that their balance sheet is super strong, but they've held off on buying Bitcoin mining machines. They think they're going to get them at somewhere at pennies on the dollar, and it looks like they're right. So, you know, they've built another line of income, and that part of their business is doing well. So I like those companies. That it's funny that all these Bitcoin miners are different companies. They have different philosophies. They've taken on different levels of risk, and they've made different judgment calls about where the market's going, right? I'm sure I can tell you, everybody at Bitfarms management is sick of hearing how it was a bad call to buy 1,000 Bitcoin at $43,000 in January. I mean, that's how it worked out. Yes, that turned out to be a bad call, and I agree, and it cost them. But you know, for me, I think that's a bump in the road for them. It was a big bump. They had to do a lot of juggling around, but you know, that's what happened. What I like to try to see is what are they doing about it, and I feel like they're doing what they got to do. So, Martin saying, I want 25K in Hut before winter is over. Yeah, I mean, Hut's one of the ones I've been adding. Hut and Riot they're not my two biggest positions, but they're the two that I've been dollar cost averaging in the most to over the last month. So, still right now, for me, Bitfarms is my biggest position. But those guys are catching up. And I'm in other ones past that. I think I'm still in 7 miners. And there's some that I'm worried about. And that doesn't mean they're going out of business. And, you know, it just depends on what your assumptions are and what your time frame is. Data center is the key second source of cash flow, said Peter. And that he's referring to HUT. Exactly. I mean, they got a separate business that cash flows on its own. It's not 100% of the cash flow they need to run the whole business, but you know what? Getting to chip in some gross profit, that's huge. So I like that business model, and I think it's also a business that Jamie knows very well, and I think they're going to be successful in that. And there is some synergies there later on down the road. You know, nobody's going to be in great shape until Bitcoin gets healthy, and who knows when that is. I think it's sooner than later, but, you know, I'm an optimist, so what can I tell you? How do they come to enterprise value? I don't get it. Look, OEG. I mean, essentially, enterprise value, I don't know, and sometimes I see them calculate it wrong on Yahoo and other places. But the enterprise value is basically, I say this the opposite way of the equation, but it's just, if you take the value of the stock in a company and you subtract the cash from it, right? Because we know what cash is. When you're trying to value a company, you know what the value of their cash is. If they have $10 in cash, the value of that is $10. So you don't have to try to do a valuation equation on that. So you take the cash out, you add the debt in. So basically that's the net cash position. That's saying if they had to pay off all their debt today and then they still have this much cash left over, if that number is $500 million and the market cap of the company is $500 million, then that means they've done an enterprise value on that company of 0. That means they think the rest of the whole company is worth nothing. And there are several companies right now that have a negative enterprise value, which there are times where that's appropriate. You know, if your cash burn rate is massive, then, you know, maybe you deserve a negative enterprise value. But for me, most of the companies that have a negative enterprise value right now are a great place to go park your money, because, I mean, if you can buy their $1 bills for 70 cents or 60 cents, I think that makes sense. Steven, I sure hope Bitfarms makes it. I'm loaded in them. They seem like they're transparent in what they've been doing. So I agree. I also, you know, that's still, like I said, that is my biggest position. And it's only my personal opinion, but I have a good level of confidence in what they do over there. I think they're very transparent. They put out their operations update on the first business day of the month, every single month. And, you know, they put several updates out in the middle last month because they had stuff going on. So it's not a black box. It's not it's not the guy behind the curtain. They're telling us what's going on in almost real time. And yeah, I have a high comfort level with them, and they have a great business model. Remember, they've grown their business substantially. This was a company that was at like 0.9 exahash a year and a half ago. And now they're about to be at 4 exahash, and they're shooting for 6. Yeah, they wanted to get to 8 by the end of the year, and it looks like maybe they're only going to get to 6. But that's still 6x what they were last year. So that is massive high growth mode. And, you know, so, okay, Bitcoin's down. It's a crypto winner. They did make one misstep, I think, financially, and they know it. But all in all, I love what they're doing. I mean, they just mined 420 Bitcoin in June. So while technically that wasn't their record, they did 431 in May. But May, they mined 13.9 Bitcoin per day. And in June, they mined 14 Bitcoin per day. That's only a tiny difference, but it is their all-time record. And already, it's July 1st, and they're already at 14.6 Bitcoin per day. And that is going to go up because they got a bunch of other machines they're about to plug in. And it looks like, for the moment, the difficulty level is going down. You know, we'll see where that goes over time. But I think it's a very safe bet that Bitfarms operationally will have their best month ever in the month of July. So, you know, I got to feel good about that as long as they stay liquid, which it looks like they're taking the steps. necessary, but I do want to see those steps. So that's what I'm looking for. I want to see how they get... They gave themselves a 90-day extension on the $38 million that remain on their line of credit. Let's see them take care of that, and then I think people will breathe a sigh of relief, and everybody will feel good about Bitfarms. That's just my opinion. Peter, online gaming is increasing. Another hot cash flow component. Yeah, exactly. That data center situation has so many places that it can go. And even I don't really know all those places. But there's a lot of additional potential partnerships and cash flow coming from that. Eric saying OEG, Orbital Energy. All right, Eric. I will look at it. $0.62. Market cap's $54 million. So they're pretty close to their 52-week low. They were at $4.86. So does anybody else know about this company? Should I dive into this? I'm going to dive into it anyway now that Eric mentioned it, so it doesn't matter. But I won't do it here with you guys right now. Electric power, telecommunications, renewable solutions, and services. All right, so I'll see what's going on. I don't know why they're, other than the fact that everybody's at or near their 52-week low. I'm not sure what's going on with them, but I will dig into this one. Drop in the comments. If you guys have videos that you want to see, I would appreciate any feedback because, you know, I pick the videos on the companies that I'm most interested in, that I've been, you know, if I'm feeling good about a company, but if sometimes nobody cares about that company. So let me know the ones that you guys do care about. There's even Bitcoin miners I haven't done a video on yet because it just seems like nobody cares about them. So, you know, I almost feel like I should at least do one on the last few that I have not done a video on, just as a introductory video. Oh, look at the enterprise value. Eric is saying, we're all right. So their market cap is 64 million. Their enterprise value is 300 million. Their price book is 1. I'd have to look at their financial statements to see how they're getting at that, but that, I mean, that would indicate, you know, theoretically, that indicates there's a lot of value in that company. Do they have a massive amount of debt? Let's see. So 20 million of cash, 288 million of debt. So that's where most of the enterprise value is coming from. Their current ratio is 0.6. So that is disturbing to me. So, and we got to look and see how up to date that is, but a current ratio of less than 1-to-1 is, that's an imminent problem. So I would have to see what's going on there, and if they may already have a solution to that for all I know, but that is not good. And a lot of the, you know, you look at some of the balance sheets of the Bitcoin miners. Hut 8's current ratio is like 20-to-1. And these guys are at 0.6. So that's what jumps out at me. It looks like their debt is creating a lot of enterprise value, and, you know, it's killing their current ratio. So that's not all. There must be some short-term debt as well as long-term debt. But I'll dig into this more. But I think that's the answer, is they're just getting bogged down by this $288 million of debt. And I don't know what the carry cost is on that. I don't know what their their operating cash flow looks like is negative 33 million, and they've got 20 million in the bank. This is when this is when stocks start to tank. If you got less than a 1-year cash runway, if your current ratio is under 1, you know, even if you're a good company in a lot of other ways, people start to worry that you're just not going to make it. So I know nothing about this company, so I don't want to make that judgment, but just at a glance, I'm sure that's what's getting priced in here. So I'll dig deeper. Just don't want everybody to have to sit here and watch me. Do you like the hydrogen sector? Yes, Peter's asking, do you like the hydrogen sector? So I love the hydrogen sector. I'm not sure when the right time to buy. I made a run in that, like, I guess it was like a year and a half ago now. I got into fuel cell, F cell, and you basically just name them: F cell, plug, BE, BL, DP. Those are the four purest play hydrogen plays that I know of anyway. And F cell I caught an unbelievable run. And I'll tell you, it was one of the ones. What we just did is why I invested in F cell. I looked at their enterprise value, and they were so unbelievably underpriced at the time. And they turned out into a situation where they probably, ended up in a bubble. So I got lucky in that regard to catch them from underpriced to, in a bubble. But I don't own any of those right now, but I have been looking at F cell and plug. Those are the two I've been watching and waiting. Those are very high on my watch list. And I think hydrogen is, there's already applications for it right now, but there's a lot more coming. But it could be 10 years, it could be 15 years, but that is a technology that, to me, I think that is incredible technology. Johnny said Orbital Energy is not profitable. So if they're not making a profit and they're not cash flowing and they're knee deep in debt, so I'm pronouncing this wrong. I apologize for butchering people's names. Shaman. I think OEG was one of those companies paying finance YouTubers big during the 2020 bull run. So I mean, that could be, if there's a lot of, I don't even know this one, so I'm just introducing myself to it right now. But this might have been one that they were paying people to pump, and so it got very popular. I don't know if it was a Wall Street Bets situation. So I don't know. Somebody just asked me the other day. It was the weirdest video to ask me on too. It was on the Marathon video, and I was a little bit harsh on Marathon. And they were asking me, did I get paid for that video? And it's like, why would they, of all videos, I mean, I was not very nice in that video. I don't think I was inappropriate. I think I was just trying to tell it like I think it is. But no, I did not get paid. I have never gotten paid for a video. So, and if a great company that's on my watch list comes and wants to pay me to talk about them, I will do it. But I'll let you know that I'm doing it if that happens. So, I'm not fundamentally against that. I have not had that happen. I've had awful companies come and offer me to talk about their company, but I'm not going to do that either. Peter's saying I own all four. I'm thinking he's talking about the hydrogens plays. So you're in all of them. Growth stocks are not profitable. It's about future earnings. Yeah, I mean, that's true. It depends what's their projections, what's their growth rate, but the thing is, those companies right now, and you can see it across the board, and the Bitcoin miners are suffering the same way. It's not just because Bitcoin has gotten crushed. It's because any of these companies that are not yet, and it's even worse, some of the Bitcoin miners were cash flow positive, and they still got punished just because they're high growth companies. High growth companies, or companies that have not reached net income yet, profitability, they're not cash flow positive. All the money has just been sucked out of those. And on top of that, they've been shorted. Martin's asking me if Beam Global is profitable. They are not profitable yet. So that is a company that, again, the money's being sucked out of. They just got some very good news. And their growth rate is fantastic. They're beating their targets. I'm a big fan of Beam Global. So, do your own due diligence. And if you haven't seen them, I've done a bunch of videos. That's another one that, for whatever reason, nobody seems to care about Beam Global. I really think that should pick up some momentum. That company has government money coming big time. They're a solar EV charging station. It's a standalone off the grid thing. It's it's meant to be a supplement to the infrastructure that's coming. So it's not in the place of companies like, ChargePoint or that. So it's not direct competition. It's in addition to that. I love what they're doing. They're going to get all kinds of government money. They just got approved for a huge thing in California. And, that doesn't even count the federal government, which is coming next. So and they're shorted beyond belief. And they only have a float of like 8 or 9 million shares. So, I don't know when that's going to pop. Right now, it's the wrong equation because of what you asked. Are they profitable yet? And the answer is no. So for that reason, they will be punished like everybody else is. But their time will come, in my opinion. So for me, I'm going to hold on to that one and wait. Martin says, thanks for your research work. You're welcome. My pleasure. It's my hobby anyway, to be honest. So I do sometimes have to step away. I get a little obsessed. Michael Anthony's asking Palantir. I've been on again, off again with Palantir. I just can't get to the bottom of. There's so much noise around that company, and some highly influential people have big opinions on that. I mean, to me, it looks like their product is irreplaceable. Well, everything's replaceable, but at the moment, they're doing something nobody else is doing. They're another one. They've got government contracts. They have private contracts. That portion of the business is growing. To me, that looks like a great company, but they're not profitable yet, although they're extremely close. I'm going to check because they're on the verge, at least, of being cash flow positive, I believe, if not profitable. That's not what I want to look at. Yeah, so they made 13 cents a share. They're estimating 17 cents this year, 24 cents next year. So obviously that's a small amount, but it's profitability, and I don't know if that puts them cash flow positive. And Yahoo gets the statement of cash flows wrong. Sorry, Yahoo, but you do. So I don't even look at theirs. But let's see if. So, I mean, I'm not invested in Palantir. They have been at the absolute, they've been on. I watch them every day, and I have never pulled the trigger because I just don't know. This is one of the things that worries me. This right here, $18 billion of market cap. In this environment, the shorts, anytime they see market cap anywhere, they just view that as an opportunity to suck money out of it. So, this is probably a fair market cap. It's probably low. But it is still $18 billion, and, they could turn that into $9 billion. That seems ridiculous, but it would not be inconsistent with a lot of what has happened to many, many, many other companies. I mean, look what's happened to the miners. There were 4 or 5 mining companies that by themselves had a bigger market cap 7 months ago than every single mining company put together does right now. So it can happen. And I'm just worried. That's why I'm not in Palantir. As a long-term investor, I suppose if it was, I just think there's so many places that are going to turn before this. But I do love I think they're a great company. Thoughts on Cresco Labs? And I'm sorry, Sean, I don't know about Cresco Labs. So I don't want to say something I don't know anything about. Game over for the miners. To be honest, there is money to be made elsewhere, says QWE. So, a lot of people, we've seen a lot of money leave. So that's how this person is feeling. I mean, that's obviously not my opinion. I do think it's going to be a wait. And there might be people who think there's a better place to put your money for the next 6 months, the next year, the next year and a half, whatever. I'm waiting it out. Eric saying, I remember a guy on buying 70K of Palantir at $27 a year ago. So that's what I'm saying. And in all likelihood, he felt like, you know what, it's a steal, because that's how people felt a year ago. And that's how people, there's a lot of these stocks. Palantir, so many people bought Voyager at $20, $15. You know, now it's 30 cents or 20 cents. It's like it can happen. Michael Anthony said, look at PARA and WBD, which both have low PE and large company. I've done, you're right in my wheelhouse because I've done deep dives on both of those. So Paramount's something I've worked options on over time just because of the trading pattern there. There's been some big, in my opinion, obvious opportunities, but not financial advice. Previous performance is not an indicator of future. Anyway, I love I think those companies are, particularly Paramount, I lean towards. They've got some additional stuff, but both of those have very low PEs versus their competition. I mean, if you look at Paramount Pictures, the intellectual property and assets that they have is mind-boggling. In my opinion, I'm not saying it's the equal of, but in my opinion, their intellectual property rivals Disney's. Look at what they own. They own everything. And they're just not getting priced like that. They're getting priced like their CBS. Remember, that was Viacom CBS. And they're getting priced like they're an old school TV channel. And people don't understand that they're a streaming service. Their streaming service is on fire. They've got multiple new sources of revenue coming. They have 2 different streaming services that have different sources of revenue. And they're the only movie theater. They are on fire right now. There's going to be one movie. There's going to be one, not theater, sorry. Their production company, Paramount Pictures, while everybody else has fallen off the edge of a cliff, Paramount Pictures is going to have the best year they've ever had this year, and they're probably going to beat it next year and the year after that. So they've lined things up. They've been working on this for a long, long time. They own Nickelodeon. They own BET. They own MTV. I mean, look at that's. I do a few videos on these, and honestly, like, nobody else is paying attention. They get the fewest views of all my videos, but sorry, you got me going, Michael Anthony. That's a hot button issue for me. All right. Eric said the small caps will rebound. Going to be huge upside, we hope. I mean, to me, it's about time frame. Everything, there's always a rotation. This rotation is overdue, right? The money got sucked out of small caps starting really almost 18 months ago, right? January, February of 2021, I think, was the bubble. So it's now 18 months later, and these things are down across the board, across industries. They're down 90%, and they're still getting beaten up. I mean, at some point, enough is enough. And when money decides to come back in, remember, if your company is a $100 million market cap, it's not hard to pull a 5X or a 10X, right? This isn't trying to turn, Netflix. It takes a lot to move the needle. For them to double is, $80 billion. For a small cap that's been beaten down 95% to 10X, it might only be $500 million. So it doesn't take a lot of money to get these massive swings. So I do expect they will come. I just don't know when. QWE says BTC is likely going to 12K before any significant rally. Most of the miners will be pennies by then, unfortunately. So I think he's following up on the Bitcoin miners are dead. Used to own Bitfarms, but I can't believe its share price right now. Yeah, I mean, I can't believe Bitfarms share price. I can't believe Hut 8's share price. I can't believe Marathon's share price, Riot's share price, Hive, all of them. I mean, everything's a $1, $2, $3 stock right now. These were $40, $50, $60, $70, $80 stocks a little while ago. Michael Anthony, PETE on CNBC. saying WBD has $15 calls. So I'll check that out. When will you start buying Bitfarms? Asked Crypto Jana. So I am averaging into Bitfarms. I bought some Bitfarms today. If you're asking me, I don't know if you're asking somebody else in the chat. So I continue to dollar cost average into Bitfarms. I did a video today on them. If you want to know my deep thoughts on them, I just did a video, so you can check that out. But all in all, yeah, there's bumps in the road, and they're feeling some of them, but that's one of my high conviction plays. So not financial advice, just my opinion, as you guys know. I've noticed that the bio sector has been pumping lately, but when you're down 99.8%, 100% is no big thing. Yeah, I mean, this is the thing. Like, I did a Voyager video the other day, and Voyager, unfortunately, Voyager's in a very bad situation right now. So I've done a couple of videos trying to keep everybody current and up to date on that situation. And, there was one day in the middle where Three Arrow Capital went into liquidation, and there was a little bit of optimism that they were maybe going to get some of their money back. So, boom, the stock was up 64% in one day. But the thing is, when you're a 30-cent stock and you used to be a $20 stock, being up 60% in one day is, it's pennies. So, unfortunately, it's one day later now, and they're below where they were. It's actually 2 days later now. They're below where they were, and now they've told everybody, by the way, at the moment, you can't have any of your money back. So, these gigantic swings in that's how fast things can move on these small cap companies. So, I'm holding out hope. I don't have any money in Voyager. I hope everybody gets their money back, but that actually has their money on the exchange. But I don't think you're going to get your money back. And again, this is just my opinion. I don't think you're going to get your money back on the stock. I think the stock is cooked. So that's my opinion. Let's just see where they finished. Yeah, so they were down 30% again today. They're at 30 cents. I mean, this was a $20 stock, and it wasn't that long ago. 6-7 months ago, this was a $20 stock. They're at 30 cents. I mean, that's mind-boggling. That's down 98%. Sean Hall says, "Thank you, Tom Cruise," to Paramount. Yeah, they can definitely thank Tom Cruise, and I did read an article. They are thanking him. They estimate he's going to make $100 million on that movie himself. So he got his payday, but it was worth it because, it's not just, he just had Top Gun Maverick. He does the Mission Impossibles with them. They've got a lot of very strong franchises in their movie business. So don't get me going again on Paramount, but I'm a big fan, and they're clicking on all cylinders, and absolutely nobody is paying attention to that at all right now. And their stock is down. It's at or near its low. So you are right, Sean Hall. BBWI bounced off the $26 level. Eric is asking, will a beaten miner ever be a short squeeze? All these have a reasonable short position. I don't know that they'll be a short squeeze, but I will tell you this. I mean, look at the Bitcoin chart over time. There's those days, and some of you guys probably remember some of them, where boom, all of a sudden Bitcoin's up $6,000, and for a Bitcoin miner to be up 30% in one day was like Tuesday a year and a half ago. Now, obviously, the result of that was a bubble, and we're paying for the other side of this, but I do think knocked down this month, we will see some of those types of days at some point. Hopefully everybody's a little more careful this time, and we don't overshoot it again. But yeah, I think, you know, I don't know if there'll be a technical short squeeze, but I think there's going to be days that are staggering. Unfortunately, I don't know if there's still more bad days ahead, maybe. You can see it seems to be the consensus that Bitcoin's going down before it goes back up. So, and I even think that. I don't think it's going down to 10,350. That would be the 85% crypto winner. I've seen a lot of calls for 12,000 and 13,000. I'm not in that camp, but that doesn't mean it won't happen. And the other thing you got to remember, if it does happen, is it just going to flash crash down there? Because that would actually be a decent thing. That if there was on huge volume, a flash crash down to 12,000, then we would have a very clear capitulation moment. And that would be a incredibly strong signal that the bottom is in and things are turning around. So, you know, maybe that will happen. Maybe it gets down to 16, 17,000, flashes down to 13. I don't know. I'd like to see a definitive bottom at some point. This is like it's like the drain is draining. You know, it's just slowly emptying, and there's no end. So, all right, I gotta wrap it up. Thank you, everybody. And again, if you're not subscribed, please subscribe to the channel. I'm sorry to keep asking, but we're almost at 10,000, and I'm excited about getting there. So, and if you're not on our Discord, come join us. We have a great conversation at the Discord going. Oh, Jury. Hey, Jury. Bitcore, yes. Oh, you're about to get ready to get back in. All right. After 6 weeks. Well, you did the right thing. QW saying you're right. A flash crash would be the dream. Yeah, I mean, maybe that's wishful thinking on my part, but I think that'd be the moment everybody's waiting for. Michael Anthony saying the market turned green today because bonds were down. Yeah, and this just so happens to be the third Friday in a row that's green. I don't know if that's an absolute coincidence or if that's the new thing. So the pump the other day was saying, hey, I'm here, remember me. That's Eric saying that. Martin says, bye, thank you. Yeah, so everybody have a long, if you're in the U.S., it's a long holiday weekend. If you're not, have a great weekend wherever you are. And thank you so much. Everybody, thanks so much for being on these live streams with me and for watching the videos and leaving comments and all of the above. I appreciate it very, very much. So I'll keep putting videos out.